Tonight in Arkansas, there's a mother tucking in her daughter and turning off the light. A business owner's burning the midnight oil. An at-home dinner date is plating up possibility. And it's all happening under one roof. How? The power of a conversation, like the one John from Integrity Solutions had with First Horizon Bank about his vision for a sustainable mixed-use building. Now it's not just words, it's life. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/John. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Don't miss the 10 for $10 produce sale this week at Safeway. Get select produce like large Hass avocados, mangoes, cucumbers, large lemons, green, red, or yellow bell peppers, or 16-ounce bags of Signature Farms baby peeled carrots for only $1 each. Also this week at Safeway, select meats or buy one, get one free. Get items like Signature Farms 80% lean ground beef or 16-ounce containers of Jenny O 93% lean ground turkey, burger patties or Italian style or taco style ground turkey. Buy one, get one free. Visit Safeway.com for more great deals.
Now back to the Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3 FM.
Welcome back to the Marketing Madmen. Trip Job and Nick Constantino, 680 The Fan and Atlanta Braves Radio Network here. We've had a good discussion so far on some of the trends as far as social media, what KPIs you need to focus on. So let's bring in Nick. I know you've got a special guest that has made a living as an expert in this space, and I think it'd be a great opportunity to kind of see what's truly happening today and even behind the scenes. Some of the things that we talked about at a high level, but really see what's going on from the other side of social media advertising.
Yeah, I'm very honored to have my younger brother Mike on right now. First off, I want to congratulate him. He recently had a beautiful baby girl with his wife Alex, so I want to congratulate them. I think he's lacking sleep right now, so we caught him at maybe a bad time, but that's okay. We've all gone through it. So, Mike, why don't you just introduce yourself and just set up the career path that got you where you are, and let people know what you do right now.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me. So for the last, say, about 10 years, I've been working in social media advertising. I've worked at 5 of the biggest agencies that exist in the world. So some of my clients that I deal with are Uber, Meta, Procter & Gamble, Volkswagen, so, some pretty big-time players in the space. Again, for the last 10 years, I've been essentially leading their paid social media strategy, spending, well over $100 million in social media, in the last 10 years, really guiding those big brands into their national and, at some levels, global strategy for social media. So a lot of experience under the belt, a lot of money spent.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see that one of the Constantino boys has made it. So,
yeah. Hey, radio show aside, this is it. So, Mike, do me a favor. I love that it's multiple spaces: consumer goods, automotive, social media. I love the gig economy. But most people, I don't think, know. Will you do me a favor and just rattle off those agencies, maybe those top 5, just so people have an idea of who's doing this? Not necessarily in order you work for them or anything, but I think it's important to set up who some of these big players are.
Sure. So one of them was Omnicom, which is they're a global.
Yep.
There are 5 very big ones. Omnicom is one of them. The other one was at Mediacom, which is part of WPP, which is, I think they own the biggest advertising spend globally per year. It's in the tens, probably hundreds of billions. They spend a lot of money with some of the biggest brands. I'm currently at Publicis, which is another one. They're just ginormous mega conglomerate corporations that have multiple different brands under them. These guys are spending $100+ million on advertising, and we're seeing a lot of that. Year over year, that change is flowing more into social and more into the digital space.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things we talk about here. Like, ultimately, for the listeners of this show, they're not dealing in hundreds of millions. And what we talk about now probably won't affect them for years to come. It's just how it works. But that being said, if you want to be out ahead of it, this is the space to look at for what's happening in social media. So obviously, great background on what you have. I think it's important now to talk about what's changed over the past 18 months, because that's what Trip and I were really talking about is Musk buying Twitter. It's changed a bunch.
Yeah, let's start with that. What's your insider take on the Twitter acquisition, and how do you see the landscape changing in the next, let's just say, immediate 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting with Twitter because as a platform compared to some of the other big shots, the Snapchats, Instagrams, TikToks of the world, I would say they didn't focus as much on monetizing their platform as the other platforms did. It was a lot more like a trusted space where people can go and say their stuff. So I think what Musk is going to try to do is kind of like bring that monetization back a little bit, find ways to, the big thing in the space, like I've talked about with Nick before, is eyeballs and attention is what matters, right? You're living in a time where I don't have the exact, reference on me right now, but in the last few months, digital media has surpassed traditional media in the amount of time spent per day. So you have users spending so much time on their phones, and they need content to consume. And, wedged inside of that content is where advertising is created, because you have eyeballs. Eyeballs lead to advertising dollars. So I think, as Twitter starts to shift, I know just yesterday or 2 days ago, Musk talked about bringing Vine back. Now, Vine is interesting because it was kind of ahead of its time. It was at video shorts now, and that's what TikTok is. What's it called?
Reels on Instagram,
Yeah, Reels on Instagram. YouTube has started YouTube Shorts. So, TikTok kind of really revolutionized that from a paid media perspective, because what they did was they changed the algorithms into how people were consuming, where previously on Instagram it was based on people you're following. And that's why people like the Kardashians made so much money, because they have 10 million followers. Now what the algorithms do is they track content graphing, right? So if you're watching videos about automobiles, you're going to get more posts about automobiles. So that's why, it's kind of changing the footprint of how social media is working, because a lot of people now, like, if you have content and you can create, you should, right? So companies, if, like a car dealership, for example, put as many videos out as you can of you touring the new Ford Bronco. Look at its features, its specs. The more videos you put out, the more potential eyeballs you can capture.
Yeah, that's great, Mike.
Right?
And one of the things we talked about was KPIs. So talk about that. Talk about, for an automotive industry, what are the KPIs that you got to look for here? What are the things, obviously impressions, is that important compared to engagements, reshares? What are the metrics that your clients put on you to gauge success with things like videos and content?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's like twofold. I think, with the deprecation of cookies, which is tracking like what we've been seeing and what's going to continue to happen, the industry is slightly shifting. It used to be very heavily geared towards this, consumer direct response. They're finding signals based on your consumption behavior, and then they're serving ads to you based on that, right? So, when I was working on Volkswagen, this is maybe 6 years ago at this point, our main KPI was leads, right? So we're serving ads with the goal to get, who clicked the build the model, who clicked the explore the specs of a car, right? And you could track that stuff. But now as that stuff slowly dissipating because you can't be tracked anymore, a lot of the metrics are becoming, how many people are we reaching? Are we hitting our demographic properly? Are we getting enough video completions, right? Because content is great, but if you have people watching content, it's good. You want to watch it in full, but like, are they taking the key point away from that, right? So
yeah. No, I love that.
Watch it.
I love the video completion idea, because that really truly gets into engagement. You have an engaged audience, and we definitely were talking about the move away from leads, and that leads can be a very much a vanity and false metric out there.
Yeah, are you so you have an idea, do you watch the videos and say, look, people tailed off at this point, this is what you did wrong to drive people away? Is that a metric?
Yeah, I think the video completion is huge. That's actually a signal that we're starting to use in the industry. Like Tripp said, to talk about, this is an engaged user that's taking away our messaging. But again, like going back to the creative, your messaging is very important, right? When we analyze creative, that we find out that like if within the first 50% of your post, if your key message can be taken away, there's a higher chance you're going to succeed and break through with each user, right? If someone's sitting there watching a 2-minute long video and they're watching 2-minute long videos all day, like you have to have content that sticks and things that are memorable. And it kind of goes back to the days of like those jingles, right? Like get it in their head so they remember. And it's not just consuming it, it's consuming it memorably, because that can drive action in the future.
Well, one of my thoughts is, what's the one thing, the number one thing you would tell, small to mid-sized businesses to really be thinking about next year?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like I talked about before, like content. If you have content and you can film it and you can get it out there and get it across these social platforms, I mean, like we talked about, you're talking hundreds of millions of people on these social platforms, even in the local markets, right? In the city of Atlanta, there's probably a few million people across all of the different social platforms that are actively engaging and consuming content. So, there's a route to use paid media where you pay for your ads, but as we discussed with the content graph changing, if you can put out content, you can be successful. And the more eyeballs you get on it, the more following you have. As you keep growing, you gain more. And suddenly people are watching your content just because it's cool. And that's good, because then they're sharing and they're getting it out to more people. So the more posts that you have, even, like these influencers and these content creators, that's what they do. They're not successful by putting out one post a week. They're putting out multiple posts a day. Get as much exposure as you possibly can. Because, again, with the content graph, it's not necessarily these are only the people that are following me, so that's who is going to see it. With the TikToks, the Instagram Reels of the world, just build as much content as you can, and it'll start paying off for you.
Yeah, and Mike, I'm glad we're actually having this conversation on the podcast because we signed off the conservative talk radio portion of this. So, one of the big things is distrust and false information across social media channels. I know, you can talk about the attack on Pelosi's husband and just even what Elon Musk said and these conspiracy theories going around and letting Trump back on the platform. What is social media doing? What are the big companies doing to address this? How does it affect marketing? And what do you see happening in the next couple of years?
Oh, man, you really hit me with the hard one there. That's
and you're on the record, so make sure you get this right. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a question that honestly everyone's trying to solve because no one knows what's going to happen. Especially in the world of deprecated cookies, like where is this data? Who's going to own it? There's theories that now Apple is going to be the one that they own all that data, so maybe they're going to start selling data to people because they're the owners of it now. So it's an interesting world, but I don't know where I see it going. Is I just see more people spending more time on it, engaging in more ways than before. As I know this is a big topic, but as like the metaverse and these like alternate worlds keep becoming more of a reality, that's more time and more space where there's going to be more eyeballs and more availability for advertising. So social media is certainly going to play into that. If you think the metaverse is going to exist and social media is not going to be tied to it, like you're kind of crazy because they're going to be one and the same. Right. They're going to, everything you do in the metaverse is social.
Everything you do in the metaverse is social, and just because it's a metaverse, it's still a form of media. You're still consuming with your eyes, your ears. It's still media. So I think it lends itself. It's exactly what it is. But again, is it something that are you guys having conversations about what marketing you're attaching your messaging to? Are there things you look out for? Are there platforms you try to avoid? Obviously, don't just talk about accounts you cover, just your whole agency. Are there things you stay away from? Are those conversations happening, or is it just let's consume these eyeballs and match them up with the right people?
Yeah, it's the right people, but it's also the right content. Again, like a lot of what we're doing lately, when I first started in the industry, it was a lot of like take your television commercial and cut it down so that it could fit on social media. But what they're seeing is that like that's not necessarily like driving the breakthrough you need. You want to hear it from a person. You want to hear a trusted source. You don't want to hear a corporation, spitting their corporate agenda to people. You want to hear a trusted, like if you're a car dealer, like you want a trusted car person, someone that maybe they do car reviews or something like that as part of your advertisement. You don't want it to be just this like branded corporate commercial. You want it to be creators that it looks like these are people that are just putting out videos, but all of a sudden the main point of that video is like, go buy the new Ford Bronco because it's awesome. Here's all the cool features.
Last question from my end, then I'll let Nick have the final word with you. But, a lot of people, we talk about do testing, all right? So you may not be ready to jump in full bore, obviously, with what you do for your clients, Mike. But, if you think about businesses that jump in and start to doing some tests, one of the things is, yes, you can do it a lot quicker on social media, but what's a reasonable test period that someone should think about so that they don't, a lot of times we see people test and they don't give it enough time.
1 month in, yeah.
So what would you say if someone's going to test some things in social media platforms? How would you go about just the timing and the length to get some good results out there?
Yeah, so that it's kind of like a few different tactics. Like I think one, like you said, is pretty quick and easy. They call it just like A/B testing, right? Like you put out 2 posts, which one's getting the better views, the better clicks, whatever KPI you're going for, and then you kind of like analyze that, take out the key pieces, and try to keep building, keep A/B testing, and keep understanding, right? Like what is driving the metric I want, right? If it's video completions, is the key message in the beginning driving it? Is the key message in the end driving it? How long are we keeping people's attention? You'll notice on social media, attention spans are, as quick as they come, right? That's why it's important to have that good content and have it up front in the beginning because, like, your average user is not going to watch a 15-second post. Like, maybe they'll watch 7 seconds before their ADD kicks in and they're moving on to the next one.
My goodness, that's so depressing. It really is. And I'm a victim of it. I completely lost track of what you were talking about. My mind drifted right here. I get it. It's unbelievable that how short attention spans are. And I can't imagine anyone to think they're going to get longer.
Yeah, but what's interesting that I've always thought about this is, like, people's attention spans have always been that short. When commercials come on, you think people are just staring at those commercials straight through. They're on their phones. They're doing other things. They're going to the bathroom. They're getting snacks. I think that what social media gives you is the scale and the cost to reach those users multiple times. It might cost $30 on a CPM to hit them on TV, but if it costs $3 on social media,
sure,
you can have them hit them 10 times before you're hitting your cost threshold. right? So if you hit someone 10 times, then you're increasing the chances that they're going to see it and consume it. So that's where social kind of changes a little bit, is it's not as much like, oh, we saw one commercial, did we watch it? It's like we're building constant exposure. The big companies like the ones that I'm working for, they're building that exposure across programmatic, across all of the social platforms, and they're getting, hundreds of millions of impressions that are all building on top of each other to build brands and build features of products for them to sell.
It's almost subliminal, right? Like you're hitting them so many times that they don't even realize that they're consuming it. And I think, as much as that sounds like it's kind of scandalous to kind of do that way. I mean, most marketing is subliminal. The best marketing messages are ones that you don't realize that that it had an impact on you. So, all right. So let's leave it with this. How's it being a daddy?
It's great, man. It's tiring, but it's wonderful. My daughter's beautiful, and I couldn't be any happier.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Good, bro. Well,
hey, Mike,
congrats to you and Alex, my man.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and congratulations, and really appreciate your insight, and it's great to have you on the Marketing Madmen podcast. So
appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Don't miss the 10 for $10 produce sale this week at Safeway. Get select produce like large Hass avocados, mangoes, cucumbers, large lemons, green, red, or yellow bell peppers, or 16-ounce bags of Signature Farms baby peeled carrots for only $1 each. Also this week at Safeway, select meats or buy one, get one free. Get items like Signature Farms 80% lean ground beef or 16-ounce containers of Jenny O 93% lean ground turkey, burger patties or Italian style or taco style ground turkey. Buy one, get one free. Visit Safeway.com for more great deals.
This morning in the Atlanta airport, no one's missing a meal on Mac Wilburn's watch. With 11 restaurants to serve passengers, he's got dining for every destination. And it all started when Mac talked with First Horizon Bank about opening a franchise in the airport. Now it's open for business and cleared for takeoff. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Mac. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.